So, after attempting to take their franchise in a radical new direction featuring a new studio and new kind of overall style, the trading card game company in question has elected to cut that series somewhat short in the eyes of many, to replace it with a new show that seems much more plot-driven, with characters who are much more forefront about just stating their ideals and goals and pretty much nothing else. Hey, wait a minute! So, welcome one and all to another Cardfight Vanguard video, first of the year, if you will. Well, I mean, there is no if you will, it is. I don't know what the point of that opening is. So, yeah, Cardfight Vanguard Divine Z is officially out. We are 2 episodes in, and as I said before, I would only do a video if I felt like I had enough to say to naturally fill in the 10-minute time slot, because gotta make that sweet YouTube algorithm happy. We got to feed it. We have to give into it and let it control every aspect of our existence. So I will do that with a not very popular anime in a landscape where all people are talking about is Solo Leveling, which I have not watched yet. I'm a very smart YouTuber. So yeah, Divine Z is out, and here's what I will say. There's a lot of it that's better than I thought it was going to be, just based on these first couple episodes. But there's also some stuff that feels way worse than it logically needs to, which we'll get into. So let us start off with where episode 1 begins, with literally showing the card fight that happened right when the last season ended, indicating this is happening right afterwards. And you know what? I kind of just like the idea of seeing some other people in this world and what they're doing and what's going on in their lives. I feel like that's a problem Cardfight Vanguard has had, as we just kind of like keep always following the same people. And I know that like that was the whole point of Overdress, was to kind of get away from that. But I did kind of have this fear that if things didn't work out, they would just go back to everybody like Aichi and Chrono and just all the previous characters again, because that's what they did last time. And like, I remember when DBO2 was announced and it was more returning cards, I was like, oh boy. But no, I'm glad they stuck to their goal with this version of the franchise, and we are getting a new protagonist, even if I, kind of wish we kept the old characters some more. But yeah, so the season begins with meeting our new main character, his little sister, and just kind of like what their lives are like. I really like the fact they didn't just start off with supernatural bullshit. They started where it should be, with introducing the characters. And a very important thing I think this show needs to get right, if it wants to succeed, if it wants us to like it, it needs to make the brother-sister dynamic work. If our main character's motivation is making his sister feel better, then I need to care about the sister, and I need to make the sister feel like a real person. What I mean by that is, let's take, and I swear this is not just because his voice actor is in the show, it's just because this is the example I always use for this stuff. In Code Geass, I can't fucking stand Nunnally. And I cannot stand Nunnally because Nunnally is not a character. She is a character's motivation. She has no goals of her own. She has no personality besides being the cute, sad girl. And she doesn't really have any agency in the story. She just exists for an excuse to justify Lelouch's insanity. And it, because of that, falls flat for me, and it causes Lelouch to kind of fall flat for me. This very quickly could have gone in that direction, but it doesn't. I like the sister. I like that she's fun. I like that she's eccentric. She's got a lot of energy. I like how she's this Vanguard fangirl who loves all the celebrity fighters and wants to be big so she can go up against them and all that. She's got a lot of personality to her, and I think that actually comes across very well and makes her feel a lot more real. And I think that makes, I haven't remembered his name yet, I think that helps make our new MC work as well. You really do get the impression with him that he is this guy who's kind of just got a lot on his plate right now. He has parents who aren't really in the picture as much as they should be. Obviously, we're never going to see the dad. We'll maybe see him once, but that's about it. So he's got to take care of his sister a lot, and you kind of see the way that that burden kind of weighs on him and how it affects him and how he interacts with other people, how he does develop that more sort of like, I've got to protect other people mentality with others, like we see with the Dark State's school shooter kid. You see it in how he interacts with his friends, and you see it at his part-time job with Mao. The fact that he has to be a much more mature, grow up quickly type person is reflected in how he interacts with other people. And I think nailing that makes the show work a whole lot better than I thought it should have. Also, I love the scene where he punches the plushie. As a man who hates Code Geass with a burning passion, watching anyone voiced by Johnny Young Bosch or that particular Seiru getting punched always makes me happy. It will always get a pass for that. And even like the way him going to like Cray and meeting the thing, the creature, I don't remember the name yet, I thought also kind of had this like fun mysticism to it. We never just directly send people to Cray like this, so I feel like for what it was fine. And again, like, so because of this, when he learns about the tournament and he can have a wish granted, because they established the characters correctly, I don't feel like it's just a motivation. It feels like a real character trying to do something to help the person he cares about, and it feels very real. So in that respect, they got it right. Unfortunately, so far, this season has a very bad exposition problem, and it is pissing me the fuck off. This show has no respect for your intelligence or your ability to intake information. In the first episode, we had to cram every new major character in. We had to set up all of the plot. We had to reestablish the Cray mythology in the context of the new season. That is way too much, and they picked the worst way to go about all of it, just having everyone spoon feed you everything. The worst scene of this was with Mao at the card shop, where she just like gives Megumi's entire life story to the main character. And I'm like, why isn't she just like, fuck you? You don't need to tell him this. It was insane. Like, why? And then you move on to episode 2. And the biggest strong point of episode 2 is that I really like Mao. I like that she's fun. Like with the sister, she's fun. She's animated. She has a personality to her. She's this theatrical, loving card fighter who likes just making everything feel bigger than it needs to be just for the fun of it. That's good. The problem is, and this is the other big issue I had, I feel like the animation is much more stilted this season. Like compared to like some of the stuff happening in Overdress, it kind of just feels like they were very stationary. Most of the humor came from the performances. And again, I like little things like the chibi forms over the card fight scene, or showing like the way they show power and damage counts now. But all that is mostly just adding cheap and quick animation over still images. Like, it doesn't really have that flair and fun to it that made the Overdress characters really come alive at first. That might change as we go forward, but the fact that we're just jumping straight into the tournament after spoon feeding you everyone's information like this, it's not that interesting. Like, I know it's a weird thing to say, because like I think I was a lot more positive on this than I thought I would be, but the fact that it just shows the lazy ways to get across everyone's information, I thought really kind of hurts the show. And even like the things they don't tell you are done in a way that's just going to be like in their one episode in the card fight. You're going to learn why the Dark States kid is weird. You're going to learn why the idol girl is like shy and klutzy. And we already know who the other two are. So it just kind of gives you this feeling of like, where is there to go and how will it keep my attention? So that's kind of where I'm at. Also, I loved watching the main guy use deck log to make his deck. Also, I just like the inclusion of stuff like he opens booster boxes. He asks for singles. More of that. Put that in your card game anime. Less exposition. But yeah, so what did you think of these 2 episodes of Divine Z? Tell me that in the comment section below. Are you excited? Because again, I didn't really think this was that bad as much as it just did a couple things I really didn't like. But give me your thoughts about that below. And as for the Vanguard question of the week, 50 cards is here. Or is it? I don't remember what the official date is, but everyone in my locals agreed new year, adopt the new rules. My question to you is, have you already figured out how to upgrade your decks? Are you still a little weary? Because obviously now your consistencies take a hit. Tell me about all that below. And as always, click to like, click subscribe, and join me in probably a couple episodes where we see where all this is going.